so annoying.
I know.
Why is
am
it taking
I
like 16 years to load? Okay.
I
Okay,
learned that
what's
in
up,
junior,
you
though.
guys? We're gonna talk
What's
about U.S. becoming a world power. Okay, section 1, U.S. imperialism begins. This is a policy of strong countries trying to control weaker countries, but it's not like colonism. It's like they're just
Imperialism.
yeah, that for economic and political gain. The reasons why it was a thing was like European colonization. Also, they wanted more natural resources and like a market to sell the products to.
Yeah.
And they wanted more naval bases. Nationalism was a big cause of
It was a big
imperialism.
idea within like the imperialism that was going on within the community of the United States of America.
So they wanted to spread their democratic ideas and religion. The other stuff to know, Teddy Roosevelt, he liked imperialism and also Anglo-Saxonism.
Racism.
Basically. So it's like English-speaking countries were better than
We're
more better than countries within.
Plain.
This is our first date with Japan. Commodore Matthew Perry.
And we're not talking about Matthew Perry from today.
Was basically the person who like opened up trade with Japan. He took a naval fleet to there, and then they wanted to trade because they couldn't possibly compete with the Western technology.
And it was introduced to the islands of like central specific reasons. And
I said specific.
I said specific.
No, you literally said
I
specific.
You literally said
specific. Hawaii. Hawaii was to the U.S. was a new opportunity to get more money through the production of sugarcane. Queen Liliuokalani. She was a great queen, but she tried to get her power back after the king like signed a constitution that.
And you remember who kicked her out? Dole. That Dole dude kicked her out and was like, "Hey,
the pineapple guy."
The pineapple guy kicked her out and was like, "Hey, you know what? Like, never mind. You're not gonna be queen anymore because we don't need you anymore." And all the U.S. people just were like, "Yeah." So then, yeah.
And this like made them set up their government, and then Hawaii was annexed.
Annexed.
Oh, sorry. More stuff to know is that the effects of overseas expanding. So there were more trade markets to China because of the open door
which basically
policy
let you trade with China.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Also, they got a strong navy because, like, all those people who wanted them to have a strong navy because they were like, oh, yeah.
They figured they could control.
Okay. Also, they got land in the Caribbean and the, like, Pacific Ocean island stuff. And they built the Panama Canal. And they also sent troops to Latin America to protect trade, which was, like, the Roosevelt thing.
It's called the Roosevelt collar. No.
I forgot what it was called, but it was something like, okay, these two guys, Alfred T. Mahan and Henry Cabot Lodge, they wanted a strong navy. They wanted a strong navy to protect their trade, and then they wanted all the other countries to know that they had a big navy. Yeah, okay.
You know,
wow. Me. Section 2, the Spanish-American War. So basically, the reason why the reason why this war started was because of Cuba. Spanish people were basically bullying Cuba, and so the Cubans rebelled and they burned all the sugar fields, but Spain was not having it, so they put them in like concentration camps and stuff. And yeah, the Cuban exiles in the US wanted US to go to war, and then the USS Maine was a U.S. ship that exploded in the Americas, and they blamed Spain for like intentionally destroying.
What does that mean?
I would say it.
And fun fact: this is not the state sinking; it's the ship.
Yeah, she made that mistake during class.
Okay, so when reporters heavily exaggerate stories, and they would use them to be like, oh, like Cubans are getting extinct or whatever. Like they would make up ridiculous stories like this, and then they would to get people to buy them. And Joseph Pulitzer, which is part of the New York World, and William Randolph Hearst, part of the New York Journal, they're also both authors that were part of this yellow journalism. And no one really knows why it was called yellow journalism because there's like a bunch of theories. So you can comment down your theory below because hashtag cool.
And then they stop. Okay, so what happened because of this? All the Americans like hated Spanish. They hated Spain because of all these like fake articles are coming out talking about how Spain was such a bad country because they were like supposedly destroyed like the USS Maine and like all the other stuff. The causes of the war: the explosion of the USS Maine was.
Pause for screams.
Why are people screaming?
We are filming a very, very highly qualified APUSH YouTube video, so you can be quiet because like we're gonna be hashtag famous one day in our hashtag YouTube channel, so you can hashtag shut up. Cost of the war.
Okay, was the explosion of the USS Maine, obviously, as we talked about in the previous slide.
Not the state.
Also, the U.S. wanted to expand into Latin America and the specific islands, and the Cubans/Filipinos
Didn't like it.
They didn't like Spain because they were bullying them, and also the U.S. expansionists/papers wanted to go to war with Spain because of all the fake articles that came out talking about the atrocities that Spain did with Spain. Cuba.
Some more people you need to know are George Dewey. He was a naval commander he became a hero for his victories like within the wars he was fighting within the Philippines. Then this is a major group that you need to know. This is the Rough Riders, which were a group of mix of miners, cowboys, and lawmen. They were tough, aka rough.
Theodore Roosevelt was the leader of the Rough.
And also in none of the museum. 1 and 2.
Stop. And this like led to his like
presidential
to him being elected for president.
This is when he pretty much got into power within the war. So this is him like stepping into the spotlight. Fun fact. So the Spanish-American War was actually fought in Puerto Rico and the Philippines. So it was not in Spain or America.
No. What came about the Spanish-American War was that the U.S. defeated Spain. Which was a world power. Spain was a world power.
No, and then that let Cuba gain independence
as a result of this cool war.
It was not cool. So
it was a joke.
There's people. Death is not
people
a joke.
died.
Death is not to joke about. Okay. The U.S. gained more control over islands like Puerto Rico, Guam, and Philippines. So these are all the territories that
they basically like paid like $20 million to have like all these islands,
and that also had a market for the trade.
Yeah. Okay. Section 3.
Okay. So Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt makes the U.S. a world power. So Teddy Roosevelt did a lot of stuff to help the U.S. socially and economically, along with the foreign policies.
The foreign policy decisions included expanding trade/relations with China. They built the Panama Canal. They built the camel. They built the Panama Camel to improve the trade, so they could just like sail in and do their stuff. And also, they dispatched the Great White Fleet to show off their nice navy.
Because pretty much they were bragging. Because that's what America does.
Oh yeah, that's what it's called. The Roosevelt Colliery.
The Roosevelt. Oh my God, it's not Roosevelt. Roosevelt.
I want to go home.
Okay, so people are gonna bully us for saying this wrong.
No, they're not.
We're really trying to teach kids, and you're calling Roosevelt Roosevelt.
The kids are either older or like the same ages. The Roosevelt Colliery was basically a thing that said that the U.S. can intervene whenever there was like problems with Cuba and all the other places. China, the open door policy, as we talked about previously, all countries would be allowed to trade with China. The Boxer Rebellion, a revolt by secret societies in China that wanted to get rid of they wanted to get rid of the foreign control in China, so they seized control of the foreign embassies and they killed a lot of foreigners. Memes.
Death is not a meme. Zoe, death is a serious subject, and I'm afraid we're gonna have to continue on because you're actually kind of offending me. Roosevelt! It's Roosevelt! As we discussed earlier, we're just like kind of like pounding on these words a little bit more so that way you get a good feel of what they are. So the fleet of U.S. ships was sent out by Teddy Roosevelt around the world to show that the U.S. could keep a force and use its position as a world power. Because now, after the war, the U.S. was considered to be a world power, which is why Teddy Roosevelt was considered such a great dude because he got the U.S. out of their funk they were having.
The funk. The naval fleet was modernized by like the metal hulls instead of the wooden hulls.
Teddy Roosevelt's foreign policy catchphrase actually was, "Speak softly, but carry a big stick."
The Hey Pong Piofote Treaty was a treaty that gave the U.S. an exclusive opportunity to build a canal through Central America.
And not just any canal,
the Panama Canal! Okay, the Panama Canal was a canal that took over 10 years to build.
Wait, really? The Panama Canal was a canal?
Really? Wow! Didn't know that. Okay, and thousands of people died because of disease. Because there was a lot of disease.
So I'm making a joke out of death. So they displayed military power and shortened the travel time from Atlantic to the Pacific by building this canal. And then, as we talked about earlier, the Roosevelt Corollary is the U.S. intervening in Latin America affairs when necessary to prevent European intervention and maintaining economic and political stability, because they were now the watchdog of the Americas and they were in charge. Boss baby.
No.
Chicken.
Don't make a joke out of death. Will Puck died.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Rest in peace. President William Taft believed in dollar diplomacy.
Diplomacy? Wait. Dollar diplomacy was basically the U.S. policy of using business power against a country rather than military force.
So this was a big part, and this is kind of where we come to the end of the chapter, because now that the Spanish-American War is done, then there's nothing really else to say. So that's all, folks. Bye-bye. Subscribe.